Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good weekend so far. This video is meant to introduce you to Chapter 7, Section 1, which is about multiplying monomials. So the first thing I want to talk about is what a monomial means. So mono, hopefully you remember this from maybe science class or math class prior, the prefix, or even English class, the prefix mono means one. And the meal part of this will mean term. So basically we're going to have something that is one term. Now that term can be a number, a variable, or the product. Remember, product means multiplication of a number and one or more variables. But it can't be anything that involves division by a variable. It can have division by a number, but we can't have division by a variable. Another thing that's not allowed, and we'll learn more about this next week, if we can't have division by a variable, this is the same thing as we can't have negative exponents. And then finally, if it's one term, we can't have more than one term. So we can't have things that are being added or subtracted together. So I'm going to show you a bunch of examples. So negative x plus 5 is not a monomial. Oops, and I did not mean to do this on this page. We're going to go back, add a new page. Negative x plus 5, not a monomial, because it has two terms. They're being added together. Here's one term, two terms. So this is actually a binomial. 23 a, b, c, d squared. Now, this might look like it has more than one term, but because they're all multiplied together, there's no addition or subtraction. This is a monomial. xyz squared over 2 is a monomial. Now, remember that I said that we can't have division by a variable. Well, 2 is not a variable, it's a number. So this is a monomial. And then finally, mp over n. Now, here we have division by a variable. This is not a monomial. Just to get you a few more examples. 17 minus c. Hopefully you see that there are two terms here. This is not a monomial. And then 8f squared g. Now it might look like because we have multiple variables that it's not, but they're all being multiplied and that's okay. So this is a monomial. And then 3/4. Again, we have division, but it's by a number. That's okay. And so this is a monomial. 5 over t. Now we have division by a variable. That's not allowed. This is not a monomial. So you'll have some homework based on that. So now that we've talked about what a monomial is, let's talk about how to deal with monomials, how to deal with products, which means multiplication. So for instance, if we have x squared times x cubed, hopefully you remember that x squared means x times x, and x cubed means x times x times x. Now what happens when we multiply x times x times x times x times x? This is x, and how many x's are there? There are 5 being multiplied. So this is the same as x to the 5th. Look at the numbers here in the exponents, 2 and 3. What's happening with 2 and 3 to get 5? Well, we're adding them. We're adding the exponents when we multiply this. So there's a rule that says x to the a times x to the b equals x to the a plus b. This is called the product of powers. And this is true for any variable. It doesn't matter how many variables we have, if we have numbers, and we'll see examples like that. So another example would be 6n cubed times 2n to the 7th. Now here I've mixed it up a little bit because we have numbers out front. So the very first thing you're going to do is to multiply those two numbers together, and 6 times 2 is 12. The next thing you're going to do is to look, okay, I have an n cubed times an n to the 7th. That's going to get me n. 3 plus 7 is 10. So this is 12n to the 10th. Another example would be 3pt cubed times p cubed t to the 4th. So this, I'm going to multiply numbers, but I see 3, and there's a 1 here, so 3 times 1 is 3. Then, look at the variables. Only combine the like variables. So here's a p cubed. Well, notice how there's no exponent on this p. When you don't see an exponent, how many p's are there? Hopefully your answer is 1. This is really the same as p to the first. 1 plus 3 is 4, so we get p to the 4th. And then if we look at t, we have t cubed times t to the 4th. Well, that would give us 7 t's being multiplied, so this is t to the 7th. So 3p to the 4th, t to the 7th would be your final answer. We'll do a few more. 3y to the 4th, 7y to the 5th. And if you want to try this on your own, you're welcome to pause this so you can do it on your own and then check your answer once you have solved it. So if we have a 3 times 7, we get 21. Y to the 4th times y to the 5th. Those two being multiplied together would give you y to the 9th. Yet another one. This one's more challenging. Negative 4r x squared t cubed times negative 6 r to the 5th x squared t. And again, if you want, you can pause this video and try this on your own. Very first thing you should do, multiply the two numbers together. Negative 4 times negative 6. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. This would be positive 24. Then look at all your like variables. I see an r, but this r doesn't seem to have an exponent, which means it's really r to the 1st. And I have an r to the 5th here as well. So 1 plus 5 is 6, so I get r to the 6th. Then I see an x squared and another x squared. X squared times x squared. Add those exponents and you get x to the 4th. T cubed, and then look, a t that doesn't have an exponent. What exponent is there? Hopefully your answer is 1. And you get t to the 4th. So your final answer is 24, r to the 6th, x to the 4th, t to the 4th. Do yet another one. This one will be r to the 4th times negative 12, r to the 7th. The only number is negative 12 here. R to the 4th times r to the 7th, add those exponents, you get r to the 11th. And that's your final answer. Another example. This one has multiple variables in it. First step, and again if you want to pause it, pause now. First step, multiply the numbers. 6 times 5 gets you 30. C times c to the 5th. Don't forget that this is really c to the 1st. So you get c to the 1 plus 5, which is c to the 6th. Then if we look at d, we have d to the 5th and d squared. That gives us d to the 7th. So in summary, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the numbers out front. 6 and 5 gives you 30. Up here in example 1, 3 times 7 gave you 21. But when it comes to multiplying variables together with powers, like y to the 4th and y to the 5th, you're adding the exponents, because that tells you how many of that variable you have. This means 4 y's being multiplied together. This means 5 y's being multiplied together. So total, we have 9 y's being multiplied together. That's why we're adding. So your homework is to do numbers 1 through 10. And sorry, I forgot the page. On page number 404. So page 404, numbers 1 through 10. It shouldn't take you that long, and I will see you all on Monday. Don't forget your projects are due on Monday.